The first bloop is a good story. There's somebody named Rabindranath Swarup. Sensitive, poetic-looking, ascetic-looking type of person. Very thoughtful, obviously loved Prabhupada. Came from New York in about the second or third wave. Prabhupada recognized him from New York, and he didn't say too much. He was a very sensitive person, and sometimes things came out honestly and abruptly. He said what he thought, and Prabhupada loved him very much. Now, there was a Vyasa-san. Finally, there was a Vyasa-san, and Prabhupada was sitting up on it. It wasn't that high, but it was above the floor, maybe as high as that desk. This high. And in the middle of the kirtan, Rabindranath Swarup called out and said, I've got to reach God directly. I cannot do it through anybody else. This was his conflict. He didn't want to do it with any priest, any intermediary. Now, Prabhupada heard him say that, and Rabindranath Swarup started crying. It was such an important thing to him. It was such an important conflict. He loved Prabhupada, but he wanted to do it. He says, I've got to do it on my own. This was his conflict. And so Prabhupada said, come here, my boy. And Rabindranath Swarup came right up on the Vyasa-san and put his head there, right in Prabhupada's lap. And Prabhupada said, dear, dear, my boy, I just want you to be happy. I just want you to be happy. And he was looking up into Prabhupada's face and crying. And Prabhupada was looking down, very compassionate, and just said, I just want you to be happy. And then Rabindranath Swarup bolted up off the Vyasa-san and bolted out of the front doors. It was all one room. It wasn't anybody sneaking out in the middle of the night. And it was actually like a play, because we were all there and we saw him run out. And we were shaken by it, all of us, because we were a family. We were a family then, and that's the way it always has been in most of my Krishna consciousness, even after some time pioneering whatever, because there are small temples with a few people and we're building together. So we were not that many people, and we were his wife, I don't know if they are officially married, his girlfriend, Haladar, was there. She didn't know whether she would ever see him again. He just left. We saw him fleeting from the front of the temple after he slammed the door. Prabhupada said, now let us chant. And he led with the sizzling kartals, played them so nicely, or the bongos in those days. Didn't say anything after that. We chanted, we were crying. Somebody else might have heard something. I don't remember him saying anything about it.
Then at a certain point, Prabhupada got the stroke. That was Memorial Day weekend in '67. And anyway, after that whole affair, Prabhupada couldn't type. He was actually partially paralyzed on one side. Anyway, there was no question of how is Prabhupada going to write his books. So we had to talk all about this. It was a big thing, what to do, so on. Longhand, that would be so difficult. Anyway, Gargamuni had seen, they were just starting to come out with these dictaphones, office dictaphones, and he had seen one in a store window. And he had gone in and asked about it. And he went to Prabhupada and asked Prabhupada, can we, maybe, I just saw one. And Gargamuni had some money, he was doing already his business. And so Prabhupada said, yes, that is good, bring that. So he bought it and had the man show him how to operate it and so on. And so he brought, it was his Grundig, German. And so he brought the machine in, and so Gargamuni unpacked it and was going to show Prabhupada how to operate it. I mean, it took Gargamuni like an hour just to learn how to operate it. Prabhupada said, no, that's all right, you just leave it here, I will see to it. And he did that, and Prabhupada was able to operate it without showing him how to do it or anything. Interesting. And so then Prabhupada was making these tapes. So Prabhupada's dictating all these tapes, so we had to transcribe the tapes. That was something. I mean, everyone took a try at it. It was very tedious work, and to go back and forth, and the typing, and we all found it quite kind of tedious to do. And, we weren't making so much progress on the transcribing. Prabhupada was becoming more and more, doing more and more of the tapes. So then this became another problem. Hayagriva was the best typist, but then he was going to teach in the university and so on. So it became, that was a problem. So then one day, this boy walks in the storefront. His name was Neil. And he was from Antioch College. In Antioch College, they have a program where you can work at a job and get college credit for that job if it has something to do with your study. I don't know what his study was, something in sociology. So he just came to New York and wanted to work for some organization for a semester. And so he picked the Hare Krishna. And I mean, he just kind of walked in. He didn't even know what we were doing or anything. And anyway, I asked him, well, what can you do? He said he wanted to do some. I said, well, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm a typist, and I'm a transcriber. I said, okay. It was like the answer to the prayers. There was all these kind of little miracles. These are like little miracles. Everything with Prabhupada was always these little miracles, one after the other. And we didn't even have a table for him to use. We like made some cartons, some fruit cartons, and put a piece of wood there, and put the dictaphone there in the corner of the apartment, and boy, he just raced through those tapes. And it was such a nice, Prabhupada was just making more and more tapes, and he's just racing through transcribing. We had the editing. And well, he finished Bhagavad Gita, he did Nectar Devotion, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, some other things, Ishopanishad and so on. And of course then when his semester ended, then he left. Never saw him again. But he had done so much. And it was just what was required.